The massive crystalline spires of Nexus Prime stretched endlessly into the void of space, their surfaces reflecting the light of distant stars. Inside the Grand Council chamber, the air hummed with tension as the most powerful beings in the Galactic Federation gathered to discuss their next conquest. High Admiral Taiho's footsteps echoed across the polished floor as he approached the central podium. His silver uniform, adorned with medals of countless victories, caught the soft blue glow from the hovering display screens. The Admiral's face remained stern, masking his excitement at the prospect of adding another world to their ever-expanding empire. Around him, the council members sat in their elevated positions, their bio-enhanced bodies draped in flowing robes that shifted colors with their movements. The chamber itself was a marvel of engineering, with walls that seemed to breathe and pulse with living energy. Council leader Jaiwan, her face bearing the marks of over 3 centuries of life, studied the holographic projection of Earth floating before them. The blue planet rotated slowly, showing its continents, oceans, and the crude artificial satellites that orbited it like primitive trinkets. "Tell us, Admiral," Jaiwan's voice carried across the chamber, "why should we turn our attention to such an insignificant world? There are many resource-rich planets in our expansion zone." Taiho gestured to the hologram, and it zoomed in to show various human cities and military installations. The humans are divided, Excellence. They split their world into nearly 200 separate nations, each fighting for dominance. Their most advanced weapons still rely on chemical propulsion and crude atomic devices. The Admiral's presentation continued as he displayed images of human vehicles, aircraft, and their primitive space stations. They celebrated reaching their moon as if it were a magnificent achievement. Their most advanced computers still use silicon chips, and their energy needs are met by burning fossilized organic matter. Murmurs of amusement rippled through the council chamber. One of the younger counselors, his skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns, actually laughed out loud. They burn dead things for power. How quaint. Indeed, Taiho continued, his confidence growing. Their communication systems are based on radio waves and fiber optics. They have no quantum technology, no gravity manipulation, no faster-than-light travel. They are, by all measurements, a pre-space civilization that merely managed to stick their toes into their own orbital space. Jaiwan raised her hand, silencing the growing chatter among the council members. And their military capabilities. The Admiral's lips curved into a slight smile. Primitive, Excellence. Their most powerful weapons are nuclear devices, with yields measuring in mere megatons. Their delivery systems are slow and easily intercepted. Their defenses consist of projectile weapons and chemical explosives. The hologram shifted to show various human military exercises. Tanks rolling across deserts, jets screaming through the sky, ships plowing through ocean waves. They still wage war by moving troops in vehicles across the ground. Their aircraft cannot even leave the atmosphere. Their naval vessels are confined to their oceans. What of their space presence? Another counselor inquired. Negligible, Taiho responded. A few small stations in low orbit, some communication satellites, and primitive observation platforms. They have no weapons in space, no defensive capabilities beyond their atmosphere. Jaiwan stood, her robes cascading around her like liquid metal. And you believe we can take this world without significant losses? Excellence, I believe a single battle group could subjugate Earth in less than one of their days. However, Taiho paused for effect. Given their population of nearly 8 billion, I recommend a show of force. A fleet of 1,000 ships would crush any thought of resistance before it begins. The council chamber erupted in discussion, voices bouncing off the crystalline walls as the members debated the proposal. G1 raised her hand again, and silence fell immediately. They're proceeding exactly as predicted, Mayray noted, her fingers dancing across her interface. Their sensor sweeps are focusing on our decoy military installations. They haven't even noticed that none of their scans are penetrating below ground level. Do-hyun touched a control panel, and new holographic windows appeared showing the true extent of Earth's defenses. Quantum weapon platforms hidden in dimensional pockets throughout the solar system, antimatter production facilities buried deep within Mercury, and the massive fleet of advanced warships hidden within the asteroid belt, all invisible to Imperial sensors. "Signal from Mars Command," announced one of the operators. "The quantum gate network is primed and ready. We can deploy the entire reserve fleet in under 3 seconds if needed." The general nodded, his expression remaining calm as he watched the enemy ships spread out into attack formation. 200 years ago, when we detected their first probe entering our solar system, many thought we should reveal ourselves immediately, show them our true strength. Maintaining the deception was the right choice, Mayray said firmly. It gave us time to prepare, to advance beyond their level of technology. They think they're dealing with a pre-space civilization. They have no idea what humanity has become. The Imperial fleet was now inside lunar orbit, their ships moving with the absolute confidence of a force that expected no resistance. Their sensors continued to show them exactly what humanity wanted them to see, a primitive world with primitive defenses. "All defense grid units confirm optimal status," Mayray reported, her voice steady. "Quantum targeting solutions are locked. We can end this the moment you give the order, sir." Do-hyun took a deep breath, looking at each member of the Defense Council in turn. These men and women represented the unified human race, no longer divided by nations or politics, but united in their determination to protect Earth from alien aggression. "Today, humanity steps out of the shadows," he said quietly. "We show the galaxy what we've become. Are we ready to make history?" The room responded with determined nods and quiet affirmations. Centuries of preparation had led to this moment. The trap was set, the bait had been taken, and Earth's true power was about to be revealed. "Very well," Do-hyun said, his voice firm. "Initiate final defense protocols. Let's show our uninvited guests why it's unwise to underestimate humanity." Deep beneath Seoul's busy streets, in a chamber that officially didn't exist, the fate of humanity rested in the hands of a few carefully chosen individuals. Through the massive quantum display dominating the war room, General Do-hyun watched as 1,000 alien warships moved steadily toward Earth. "Their hour is almost up," Colonel Mayray reported from her station, her fingers gliding through the holographic interface with practiced ease. "No change in their approach pattern. They still haven't detected any of our real defenses." Do-hyun stood with his hands clasped behind his back, studying the enemy fleet's formation. Each alien ship was a masterpiece of engineering, bristling with weapons that could level cities. The invaders had positioned themselves in a classic siege pattern, ready to rain destruction upon the primitive civilization they thought they'd discovered. "Status of civilian shelters?" Do-hyun asked, though regular drills had prepared Earth's population for this day. "All population centers secured in the underground arcologies," another officer reported. "Surface cities running on automated systems. To their sensors, it looks like business as usual up there." The general nodded, watching as real-time data streamed across multiple displays. Surface cameras showed empty cities where robotic systems maintained the illusion of normal human activity. Cars moved along streets, lights turned on and off in buildings, and power plants continued their carefully orchestrated deception. "Update from Luna Base," Mayray announced. "Defense platforms 1 through 1,000 are charged and ready. Mars Command reports all systems green." Around the war room, representatives from Earth's Unified Defense Council monitored their stations. These men and women had trained their entire lives for this moment. Each was responsible for a critical part of humanity's response to the invasion. 2 centuries, Do-hyun said softly. 200 years since we detected their first probe. All that time spent hiding our true capabilities, letting them think we were just another primitive species ready for conquest. The quantum displays showed the true extent of Earth's defenses, invisible to Imperial sensors but deadly real. Weapon platforms hidden in dimensional pockets throughout the solar system. Antimatter production facilities buried in Mercury's crust. A fleet of advanced warships concealed within the asteroid belt, ready to strike at a moment's notice. Their sensors are still focused on our decoy installations, Mayray reported with a slight smile. They're completely convinced by our fake military bases and obsolete weapons. The general touched a control, bringing up a new display showing the status of Earth's quantum defense grid. Thousands of satellites that appeared primitive to alien scans were actually advanced weapon platforms, each capable of unleashing destruction beyond Imperial understanding. Signal from Titan Base, an operator called out. The quantum gate network is primed. We can deploy reinforcements from Saturn's moons in under 5 seconds if needed. Do-hyun walked slowly around the central hologram, studying the enemy fleet from all angles. The aliens had arranged their ships in perfect attack formation, supremely confident in their technological superiority. They had no idea they were flying into the most sophisticated trap ever constructed. Fascinating, isn't it? He mused. They think they're dealing with a species that just reached its moon. They have no concept of what humanity has become. The room grew quieter as the Imperial fleet passed the lunar orbit. On Earth's surface, the charade continued. Radio stations broadcast their normal programs. Television signals bounced between outdated satellites, and internet traffic flowed through seemingly primitive fiber optic cables. All defense grid units report ready, Mayray said, her voice steady. Quantum targeting solutions are locked. On your command, we can end this in seconds. Do-hyun looked at each council member in turn. These weren't just military officers. They were the guardians of humanity's greatest secret. For generations, they had maintained the illusion of a divided, primitive Earth while preparing for this very day. It's time, he said simply. Today, humanity shows its true face to the galaxy. Initialize final defense protocols. The war room hummed with activity as centuries of preparation came to fruition. The trap was set, the bait had been taken, and in moments, the Imperial fleet would learn why it's dangerous to underestimate humans. On the bridge of the Imperial flagship, Lieutenant Yumho stared at his sensor displays with growing confusion. The readings made no sense, one moment showing the expected primitive Earth technology, the next flickering with energy signatures that shouldn't exist in this sector of space. Something's wrong, he muttered, running another diagnostic on his equipment. The sensor arrays were functioning perfectly, yet the readings kept shifting, as if reality itself was becoming unstable around the fleet. Commander Sungmin noticed his lieutenant's concern from his command chair. Report, Lieutenant. What are you seeing? Sir, Young-ho's voice trailed off as new data flooded his screens. These energy readings, they're impossible. They're showing power levels that exceed our entire fleet's output by several orders of magnitude. Captain Hae-Newell moved to the sensor station, her previous confidence replaced by growing concern. That can't be right. Run another scan. I've already run 3, Young-ho replied, his fingers dancing across the controls. The readings are getting stronger. It's as if something is emerging from subspace all around us. The massive view screen at the front of the bridge suddenly flickered, showing distortions in the space surrounding the fleet. Commander Sungmin rose from his chair, his sharp teeth no longer visible in his now grim expression. Full stop, he ordered. All ships hold position. Launch probe drones for closer analysis. Before the order could be carried out, space itself seemed to ripple like water. The distortions grew stronger, forming geometric patterns that surrounded the Imperial fleet in a perfect three-dimensional grid. By the void, Hae-Newell whispered, her professional demeanor cracking as she watched thousands of advanced weapons platforms materialize from seemingly nowhere. Each platform was easily the size of a small cruiser, their designs unlike anything in the Imperial database. Impossible, Sungmin breathed, watching as more platforms appeared. Their technology. This can't be right. They're supposed to be primitive. Young-ho's sensor console was now screaming with alerts. Sir, I'm detecting quantum signatures, dimensional phasing technology, Energy weapons that operate on principles I'd never seen before. These platforms, they're far more advanced than our own technology. The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as the true extent of Earth's defenses revealed themselves. What they had dismissed as primitive satellites transformed, their outer shells dissolving to reveal sophisticated weapon systems. The moon itself seemed to shift as hidden bases emerged from its surface. "Sir," Haynul reported, her voice shaking slightly, "we're detecting similar transformations throughout the solar system. Mars, Venus, Mercury, they all have hidden installations. The asteroid belt, there's an entire fleet hiding in there." Commander Sungmin gripped the arms of his command chair, his mind racing. Everything they knew about Earth had been wrong. The primitive technology, the divided nations, the outdated weapons, it had all been an elaborate deception. "Send an emergency transmission to High Command," he ordered. "Tell them." "Communications are being blocked," Yumho interrupted. "Not jammed. They're using some kind of quantum interference. Our signals can't penetrate it." The weapons platforms continued to appear, their numbers growing into the thousands. Each one was perfectly positioned, creating an inescapable net around the Imperial fleet. The humans had planned this trap with devastating precision. "Sir," Haynul said, her voice barely above a whisper, "we're being scanned. Their sensors, they're reading everything. Our weapons, our shields, our engine cores, nothing is hidden from them." Some men watched as more revelations appeared on the main view screen. Earth's cities were transforming, their seemingly primitive structures giving way to reveal advanced architecture that had been hidden beneath elaborate holograms. The planet's atmosphere itself seemed to shimmer as layers of defensive shields became visible. "All these years," he said quietly, "all our intelligence, our observations, they knew we were watching. They showed us exactly what they wanted us to see." Young Ho's console displayed new data that made his eyes widen. "Commander, these weapon platforms, they're powered by artificial quantum singularities. Each one has enough firepower to destroy a small moon. And there are thousands of them." The bridge fell silent as the full truth became clear. They hadn't found a primitive civilization ripe for conquest. They had walked into a trap set by a species far more advanced than their own. The supposed primitive Earth had been a carefully crafted illusion, maintained for centuries until the perfect moment to spring their trap. "Sir," Haynul said, her voice steady despite the fear evident in her eyes, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth. Text only." Commander Sungmin nodded, and the message appeared on the main screen. It was short, simple, and terrifying in its implications. "Welcome to Earth. You have 30 seconds to surrender." In Earth Defense Command's main chamber, silence fell as the 30-second countdown began. The massive quantum displays showed the Imperial fleet frozen in place, surrounded by thousands of Earth's unveiled weapon platforms. Every person in the room understood they were about to change the course of human history. Colonel Mirai's fingers hovered over the quantum interface, her movements precise and controlled. Years of training had prepared her for this moment, but nothing could fully prepare anyone for being part of humanity's first interstellar combat operation. "All weapons platforms report ready," she announced, her voice carrying across the hushed command center. "Quantum grid is fully synchronized. Target solutions computed for all enemy vessels." General Du-hyun stood at the central command station, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays. Around him, the quantum screens showed real-time feeds from every world leader in the unified Earth government. Presidents, prime ministers, and chancellors watched in silence from their secure bunkers. "Final status report," Du-hyun commanded. The reports came in quickly, each operator's voice clear and professional. "Luna Base confirms targeting lock. Mars Command standing by. Titan defense grid synchronized. Solar observation posts all report ready. Asteroid belt fleet in position." Mirai's display showed the complex web of quantum targeting solutions, each weapon platform linked to multiple targets. The entire Imperial fleet was caught in a three-dimensional grid of overlapping fields of fire. There would be no escape. Enemy shields are at maximum power, she reported. They're trying to power up their weapons, but our quantum interference is keeping them locked down. Do-hyun nodded slowly, studying the tactical display. 1,000 alien ships, each capable of destroying cities, now trapped like insects in amber. Their superior attitude had led them straight into humanity's trap. "Time remaining on surrender window?" he asked. 15 seconds, sir, Mayray responded. No response to our message. They appear to be attempting to break through our communications blackout. The general looked up at the screens showing the world leaders. These men and women represented every nation, every people on Earth. Centuries of secret preparation, of maintaining the illusion of division, while working together in secret, had led to this moment. One by one, each leader gave a silent nod. The decision was unanimous. 10 seconds, Mayray announced. Do-hyun thought of all the generations that had worked toward this day. Scientists who had developed technologies beyond even the Empire's understanding. Engineers who had built vast underground cities and hidden weapon platforms. Intelligence operators who had maintained Earth's primitive facade. 5 seconds. The quantum displays showed the Imperial ships still struggling to respond. Their sensors were overwhelmed, their weapons unable to lock onto targets that existed partially in other dimensions, their advanced shields suddenly seeming primitive compared to Earth's technology. 3 seconds. Mayray's fingers moved across the interface, initiating the final attack sequence. Each weapon platform hummed with power as quantum singularities spun up to full capacity. 2 seconds. The targeting grid locked into its final configuration. 1,000 Imperial ships, about to learn the price of underestimating humanity. 1 second. Do-hyun took a deep breath. Centuries of preparation came down to this moment. "Execute," he commanded. Mayray's fingers touched the quantum interface. In that instant, thousands of weapon platforms fired simultaneously. Space itself seemed to twist as quantum beams crossed the void, each one carrying enough energy to shatter a planet. The Imperial ships' shields flared brilliant white as they encountered weapons operating on principles they couldn't comprehend. Metal hulls designed to withstand antimatter explosions offered no protection against quantum phase attacks. In exactly 3 seconds, 999 Imperial ships ceased to exist. They didn't explode or break apart. They simply vanished, their very atoms dispersed across multiple dimensions. Only the flagship remained, held immobile in a quantum stasis field, its crew forced to watch as their entire fleet was erased from existence. "Attack complete," Mayray reported calmly. 999 confirmed eliminations. Flagship secured for boarding actions. The command center erupted in quiet cheers and sighs of relief. Centuries of preparation, of hiding and waiting, had paid off. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy in a way that would never be forgotten. Do-hyun looked at the single remaining Imperial ship on his display. "Prepare boarding teams. It's time to send our message to the Empire." The first interstellar war in human history had lasted exactly 3 seconds, and humanity had won without losing a single life. Commander Sungmin stood frozen on his bridge, watching the impossible scene before him. Where moments ago 1,000 Imperial ships had dominated space around Earth, now only scattered particles remained, dispersed across dimensions he couldn't comprehend. His mighty flagship, pride of the Imperial fleet, hung powerless in space, caught in an energy field that defied Imperial science. The ship's internal sensors blazed with warnings as multiple breaches appeared along its hull. Not explosions or cutting beams. The humans simply phased through solid metal, as if it weren't there. Sungmin's crew drew their weapons, though their hands shook as they aimed at the entry points. "Stand down," Sungmin ordered, his voice heavy with defeat. "Those weapons will be useless." Through the breaches came humans in battle suits that seemed to flicker between dimensions. Their armor wasn't bulky like Imperial combat gear. It moved like liquid metal, conforming perfectly to their bodies. Each suit glowed with subtle patterns of energy that hurt Sung Min's eyes to look at directly. Leading the boarding party was Colonel Mireille, her armor distinguished by the unified Earth insignia, a symbol that represented humanity's true face, not the divided nations they had pretended to be. She moved with casual grace, the artificial gravity and life support systems of the Imperial ship having no effect on her suit's function. "Commander Sung Min," Mireille's voice carried clearly despite her sealed armor. "Your ship is now under Earth's control. Any resistance will be met with the same response your fleet just witnessed." Captain Hainul stepped forward, her hand still on her sidearm. How did you hide all this?" "Our intelligence reports were exactly what we wanted you to see," Mireille replied. More humans in battle suits spread throughout the bridge, securing stations with practiced efficiency. Every primitive satellite, every outdated weapon, every squabbling nation, all part of a performance centuries in the making. Sung Min watched as his crew was systematically disarmed. The humans didn't use force. Their suits simply generated localized fields that caused Imperial weapons to dissolve into component atoms. "Your technology," he said quietly. "It's impossible. No civilization could advance this far without being noticed." Mireille's helmet retracted like liquid flowing backward, revealing her face. "We detected your first probe 200 years ago. Instead of announcing ourselves, we chose to watch and learn. Everything you thought you knew about Earth was carefully crafted to bring you here today." More boarding teams reported in from throughout the ship. The humans weren't just securing the vessel, they were downloading its entire database, accessing systems that the Imperio thought were impenetrable. "The divided nations?" Hainul asked. "The primitive weapons? The nuclear missiles?" "Props," Mireille said simply. "Very convincing ones. We needed you to believe we were an easy target. Your empire has a habit of conquering worlds you consider primitive. We decided to use that against you." Sung Min sank into his command chair, the full weight of their failure crushing down on him. "1,000 ships," he whispered. "The most powerful fleet ever assembled. Were never a threat to us," Mireille finished. "Your most advanced weapons are centuries behind what we've achieved. While you were watching our fake military bases, our real technology was so far beyond your sensors' capability to detect that you literally couldn't see it." The human boarding teams had finished securing the ship. Through the view screen, Sung Min could see more of their advanced vessels decloaking, ships that made his flagship look like a primitive construction by comparison. "What happens now?" he asked. Mireille's expression was neither triumphant nor cruel, simply professional. "Now you carry a message back to your empire. Humanity is not primitive, not divided, and not interested in becoming part of your civilization. We've watched you long enough to know what you are, and we chose to remain hidden until we were ready." She gestured, and a quantum field surrounded Sung Min and his senior officers. "You'll be given proof of what happened here, proof that can't be denied or altered. The galaxy needs to understand that humanity's isolation was a choice, and that choice has now ended." As Sung Min was led away from his bridge, he took one last look at Earth through the view screen. The planet's seemingly primitive exterior was gone, replaced by the true face of human civilization. A world of technology so advanced it appeared magical. His empire's greatest fleet had lasted 3 seconds against them. And now he had to tell them why. The crystalline spires of Nexus Prime seemed less impressive now as Commander Sung Min walked through the halls toward the Imperial Council chamber. His once pristine uniform was still marked with scorch patterns from Earth's quantum weapons, deliberately left as evidence of what he had witnessed. The massive doors to the council chamber opened silently. Inside, the most powerful beings in the Empire waited to hear how their invincible fleet had been destroyed in 3 seconds. Sung Min noticed their confident smiles fade as they saw his haunted expression. Council leader Jai Wan leaned forward in her seat, her ancient eyes narrowing. "Commander, explain how a primitive world managed to destroy our fleet." Sung Min activated the holographic projector he'd been given by the humans. The council chamber filled with images that made the assembled leaders gasp. Earth's true face, its advanced technology, the weapons that had erased 1,000 ships from existence. Everything we knew about Earth was wrong. Sung Min began, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. The primitive technology, the divided nations, the outdated weapons, it was all an elaborate deception, maintained for centuries while they watched us. The holographic display showed Earth's transformation, cities revealing their true advanced nature, quantum defense platforms emerging from dimensional pockets, ships that made imperial vessels look like children's toys. Their technology operates on principles our science can't explain, he continued. They don't just have quantum engineering. They've mastered it to a degree we thought impossible. Every primitive satellite we detected was a disguised weapons platform. Every radio signal was part of their cover. Admiral Tahoe, who had so confidently predicted Earth's easy conquest, stood up. This is impossible. No civilization could hide such advancement. They detected our first probe 200 years ago, Sung Min replied. Instead of revealing themselves, they chose to study us. Everything we saw was exactly what they wanted us to see. They turned our own arrogance into a weapon against us. The council watched in stunned silence as recordings showed the destruction of the fleet. 999 ships simply ceased to exist, their atoms scattered across multiple dimensions by weapons that defied imperial understanding. They want you to understand something, Sung Min said, looking each council member in the eye. Humanity was never primitive. They were never divided. Their isolation wasn't from weakness. It was a choice. They watched our empire expand, saw how we treated primitive worlds, and decided to wait until they were ready. Meanwhile, in Earth's orbital command center, General Du Hyun and Colonel Mi Rae watched the galactic news networks explode with the revelation of humanity's true power. Quantum screens showed hundreds of alien broadcasts, all discussing the same thing, the emergence of an advanced civilization that had hidden in plain sight. They're calling it the 3-Second War, Mi Rae said, reading the translations. The fastest decisive military victory in recorded galactic history. Do Hyun nodded, watching as more reports came in. Other empires and federations were scrambling to reassess their policies toward Earth. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted dramatically in just 3 seconds. 200 years of preparation, he mused. Generations of humans living underground, advancing our technology while maintaining the illusion of primitive development. Was it worth the wait? Mi Rae gestured at a screen showing the Imperial Council's reaction to Sung Min's report. They thought they were going to add another primitive world to their collection. Instead, they discovered a civilization so advanced that their most powerful weapons couldn't even detect our real defenses. The quantum displays showed more alien reactions, some fearful, some curious, but all understanding the same truth. Humanity had emerged onto the galactic stage, not as conquered subjects, but as a power that had just demonstrated unprecedented technological superiority. Phase 2 begins tomorrow, Du Hyun said, watching the broadcasts. We start sharing some of our advances with peaceful worlds. Show them there's a better way than empire building. In the Imperial Council chamber, Commander Sung Min delivered his final message. Earth's isolation ends today. But understand this, they emerge on their terms, not yours. They've had centuries to prepare for this moment. The question now isn't what you're going to do about Earth. He paused, letting the implications sink in. The question is what Earth is going to do about you. The 3-Second War was over. Humanity's long preparation had ended, and the galaxy would never be the same.